Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are, thanks for joining the AI for Good Global Summit. All year, always online. Like most of the world, AI for Good Global Summit has gone digital this year, but it allows us to reach even more people all year. AI for Good Perspectives offers expert insights, global visions, and shared solutions for the whole AI for Good community worldwide. Earlier, I was joined by Stefan Germann from the Botnar Foundation. Hello, Stefan.
Good to be here, Chris.
Now, clearly, one big change on last year is the coronavirus. That must be clearly a focus of what you're working on.
Well, the ITU has taken important leadership in the field of AI for good. We clearly see today, specifically in the last couple of months with the corona pandemic, how important the digital transformation is in our society. At the same time, I think these sort of couple of months have highlighted a number of key concerns related to digitalization, especially around the human rights dimension of it. And the AI for Good sort of summit has been a platform for the past couple of years that really brings together key policymakers all around the world to actually grapple with these broader issues to ensure that technological advances in AI are actually delivering for the global public good.
Now, one of the issues with the virus, of course, is that you deal with child welfare, health issues, and of course, in urban settings in particular. And the virus has had a real impact in urban areas. And also, young people are getting the virus and actually transmitting it. So how does that impact what you're doing?
Yeah, so the area of urban well-being for young people is the key focus of our foundation. And we are striving to see how AI and digital frontiers technologies can actually contribute and transform the well-being of young people within cities. Again, the last couple of months we've seen how Corona has impacted on the very fundamental structure of society and urban context that has been magnified much bigger given the proximity of people. We've seen it in the field of health, we've seen it in the field of education, and we collectively need to find rapid answers to how do we overcome these sort of challenges. And I think it's important to note that whilst Corona at this point of time is the most pressing issue that we deal, they are sort of a manifestation of a part of bigger challenges related to the sustainable sort of development agenda that our sort of society and our planet faces, including climate change, including sort of the green economy. And that's where sort of the AI for Good Summit is providing a multi-sectorial platform where it's not only about a health issue, it's not only about education issue, it's really the entire sort of sustainable development goals and how can technology in a sustainable manner actually contribute to us collectively solve some of the biggest challenges that we face as humanity. Now, while the media and policymakers are so focused on the coronavirus, there are so many other issues related to health that mustn't be neglected, and that must be a concern for you. Well, absolutely. And I think we have to get away from sort of linear, simplistic models of problem resolution. We have to embrace an ecosystem mindset. And as a foundation, we are really striving towards understanding a deeper sort of element of human well-being, what we call a relational well-being approach. Relational well-being is human well-being that emerges from the individual to society, to the environment. And it's in that flow, in that interaction between these where well-being is emerging. So we have to kind of stop thinking in silos, like here is health, here is education, here is the environment, here is sort of this. But we have to really integrate this. And therefore, if we come back to AI and digital solutions, we really need to look at them not in a linear sort of simplistic manner, where by good intention, we can actually create significant additional problems. And And I think that is sort of where we as a foundation, in partnership with the AI for Good Summit, are really striving that this dialogue between big tech, policymaker, academia, and civil society is taking place so that we find joint solutions to leverage AI for the good.
Like I said, you've been a partner of the AI for Good for the ITU now since the very beginning. Have you seen progress? Have you seen some guidelines come in your area of focus?
Yes, we have seen significant progress being made. First of all, there is now a very sort of deep discussion around these technologies and the human rights implication. I would like to refer to a recent report last year to the UN General Assembly by the UN Special Rapporteur on extreme poverty. He published a report to the UN General Assembly on the digital welfare state. And he highlighted on one hand the tremendous opportunities that AI, in terms of its predictive nature, is bringing to improve welfare delivery. On the other hand, he clearly shows the significant risks where suddenly the state has the tools, because of technological advances, to have surveillance by big data analytics and starting to basically have the capabilities of the state sort of really keeping each citizens accountable, rather than the other way around, that actually citizens should keep the state accountable.
Since we last talked last year, what would you say has been achieved in terms of AI?
One of the elements that is really exciting is within the health domain, the rapid and broad application around diagnostics, for example. We have a number of investments through our foundation, one in East Africa, where with a consortium called Afiatech, where we're really looking at the digitalization of the local community health system at the primary care level. We see that community health worker at the front line with AI-enabled diagnostic tools are rapidly upskilling their capabilities. We hope in the future that this sort of frontline diagnostic could be matched with primary healthcare, and we're currently in discussions and actually within a design sprint with the X Prize, another partner of the AI for Good, to design an X Prize on frontline health workers, where we hope that sort of a fully integrated package could actually move forward. Another investment with a consortium involving the University of Basel's Department of Dermatology and a number of other dermatology groups, specifically in Africa, in East Africa. We are hoping that through innovative ways of transfer learning, that the large image data sets that are currently more available in Europe and the US can be applied within an African setting to then embed into some of these diagnostic solutions like ADA or Babylon or many of the other sort of symptoms checkers, to have a back-end plugin of a dermatology solution that works across Africa and other parts in the world, so that we really can have a tremendous uptake of dermatological assessments in countries where there are very few dermatologists available. So there's a lot of excitement there. But again, that needs to be balanced with some of the concerns related to health data and data governance issues, where currently there are not really the right frameworks in place. And there is not clarity in terms of data governance, data ownership, and interoperability of data across borders.
Stefan, one last question. Now, you work in 80 countries, but logistically, since we can't travel so much, is it more difficult for you to actually work with these countries and make some of these changes that your foundation does?
Well, we are in a fortunate position that, given we are a relatively young foundation and only started the management office just a bit over 3 years ago, we have been end-to-end digital from the very setup. So as the sort of need was to move into a totally digital realm, we have been able to seamlessly adapt with our partners to basically get into the digital space. However, I think digital has all its benefit, but it has as well its limitations. And we do believe that specifically starting up new programs, let's say in a new city, that the initial contacts, physical contacts, will remain as very important. But it has challenged us to rethink how we operate, and as it has challenged everyone. And I would like to sort of, mention some large corporates, specifically here an interesting one in Basel, where sort of a new rethinking is how we will operate in the future. And I think we need to realize that every crisis has tremendous opportunities to do things better after the crisis. And that's one of my lessons I've learned in my own professional life. I was involved in emergency relief, like the Asian tsunami when I was in Aceh, is this sort of notion of, building back better. And so I think we collectively, and through the AI for Good Summit, this is a good opportunity to really think through, okay, we are in this crisis. Let's not forget, as we previously said, there are bigger long-term crises that we need to address as a collective, global society. How can we do that together in a way that we come into a more sustainable future?
Stefan, thanks for your time. So that's Stefan Germann, the CEO of the Botnar Foundation in Basel, joining me. Stay tuned for more from the AI for Good Global Summit, always online and all year round.